Now we are running out of the time, and we have Ambassador Riffat Masood. She's a former ambassador to Iran. Madam, please.
We have to remember that, as has been pointed out, the Middle East has for centuries, not decades, centuries, been an area of volatility, of conflict, of instability. I mean, from the Roman times, even before, and then we're in the month of Rajab, and the Battle of Yarmouk took place also in this area. So, and today, of course, that continues because it is basically a main trade route, a main strategic route. All major powers, small, big, middle powers, have been searching and trying to gain dominance in this region for centuries. But I'll fast forward to what I feel is, for the present, the game changer, which is the Abraham Accords of 2020. I think they actually were very, very important in the sense that while the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Palestinian issue, and all these other issues in Saudi Arabia were in the Middle East were there, but this was the first time that openly Israel reached out to two major countries who did not recognize and did not have any relations with Israel, and that was the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Because don't forget, earlier other Arab countries had got peace accords, they had recognition of Israel. But this was the first time, and India also became a part of this. So Abraham Accords, I think we must remember, as the time when things started to take a major turn and a fast forward movement in the realization of greater Israel started to coming into being. Now, of course, one major country, I'm grateful to Dr. Saiba, she pointed out to hegemons and countries that are trying to take control of this region. And of course, for me, I can just narrow it down to three, and that is Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. And while the Abraham Accords brought Saudi Arabia and Israel slightly closer, remember, Saudi Arabia and Israel did not have overt relations and open diplomatic relations, but there were a lot of contacts, there was trade taking place, and along the sides, there was a realization in Saudi Arabia that, we have to reach out to Israel. But the only country that was left out of this equation was Iran. And I think it's very important to understand why Iran was left out, because in this entire region, there are two common denominators that bind the Arab countries together. First is their language. Arabic, wherever Arabic is spoken, that becomes part of the Arabic equation or Arab region. And then, of course, is the religion. Now, here, Iran doesn't fit into that category. And notwithstanding the fact that it also has historical rivalry with Saudi Arabia, and mind you, I have always said that this historic rivalry predates Islam. It is not because, as I said, they have these two areas, these two sub-regions have been trying to capitalize and gain control over the entire Middle East or West Asia region. Now, what is left, therefore, is that the one snag that Israel faces to date is how to neutralize Iran. Because as the previous speakers have spoken, and as in fact the media tells us, and as we see on our televisions every day, after Gaza, after Lebanon, and now Syria, it seems that Israel is gaining a stronger foothold. It is gaining room in the Gulf and the Middle East. But how is it going to neutralize Iran? There is talk, as Ambassador Izaz Chaudhry pointed out, that Iran is preparing for a full-scale war, just like the United States is also wargaming. Israel is already prepared. But I have a slightly different view on this. The reason is that if you look at the country or the regime in Iran, it's very interesting. Iranians are very pragmatic. Their main core purpose at the moment would be to preserve the regime. And by the regime, I mean the Islamic Revolution 1979, setting up of that clergy and that Wilayat-e-Fiqh regime in Iran. They would go all out to preserve that. In order to preserve that, they would be willing to make certain compromises. And why I say that is because while my time in Iran, I looked at it, there was a time when Israel and Iran were very good friends. They were very close at the Shah's time and even before that. It's only that this time that Israel has become Shaitan is Kuchik, as well, America is Shaitan Buzurg. But notwithstanding the fact that they will not compromise on the fact that they will not recognize Israel, they will not accept a two-state solution to Palestine, because again, I believe, rightly so, they always ask, well, which is the two-state? Because if you look at the state of Palestine now, there's hardly any Palestine left. So where are the Palestinians, the remainder, or where is Palestine going to exist? Is it going to be in some part of Egypt? Is it going to be in some part of Saudi Arabia? Where is it going to be? So this two-state solution, the Iranians don't accept. But most of this could be rhetoric, because as I said, they want to preserve their regime. And don't forget that Iran is at the moment facing very severe internal economic crises. Sanctions have been in place in Iran for more than 40 years. While it is an energy-rich country, an oil-rich country, yet it needs to sell its oil. And it is facing difficulty in that. Of course, it's got arrangements with China, with Russia, with even India on how to sell its energy and its oil very successfully and legally also. It's not all illegal, but still it needs to open up. The JCPOA, which was a silver lining, this is the nuclear agreement that was signed with the Obama administration, has gone after Trump's last tenure and the sanctions. And there doesn't seem to be any chance of it being revived at the moment, although we have had a change in government in Iran. We have got moderates and reformists back in power. But despite that, it is facing a severe economic crisis. On the other side, the aim of Israel and the United States and most of the Western powers is to neutralize Iran and to change the regime. Several attempts have been made to change the regime, but not all successful. Now, what should happen now? Will Iran go for war? I don't think so, because it cannot afford a war. Its economic situation is still very weak. And within Iran, there is resistance because people feel, the young Iranians feel that the Islamic regime, the Islamic government has not actually given them anything because of the fact that they have been ostracized from the world, because of the fact that the inflation and devaluation of their currency, and the fact that there is nobody, Iran is being isolated, nobody is willing to trade with Iran, they're feeling left out and they feel that the government has not given them anything. So on the one hand, the Iranians have to focus internally to make sure that they remain in power. And on the other hand, they also have to see that if they go in for a full-scale war, would they be able to sustain it? You see, Iranians are masters at proxies, and we have seen the success of the proxies. We have seen the success of Hamas. We have seen the success of Hezbollah. We have seen the success of Houthis, but that is only to an extent. We can see that, these proxies cannot really stand up to a country with military power, or in fact against the world, because now with with Israel gaining the kind of strength that it is, the Western countries would not abandon Israel. No, they are critical of Israel because of what's happening in Gaza and the human rights violations. But when it comes, I think, to decisions on military support and economic support, that will not diminish. Somebody mentioned Turkey, that yes, Turkey has spoken a lot against Gaza and has spoken in support of against Israel and Gaza and in support of Palestine, but they have not severed their ties. They're continuing to trade with, and they're continuing to keeping a relationship with Israel. So in that scenario, the question for the Iranians would then be that if we do go for an all-out war, would we be able to sustain it? So at the moment, I feel, and I'll wrap up very quickly because I know we're running out of time, that while Saudi-Iran relations have taken a turn, I think that is on the slow burner now, not the back burner, but the slow burner. I think that until the situation in the Levant and the situation in Gaza sorts itself out, I think that the Abraham Accords will also be on a slow burner. And I think for us in Pakistan, it is very, very important. I know people have spoken about the support we have been giving them militarily and so forth. But I think for us, it's important that it's not military support anymore. I think wars have taken on a new dimension now. And I think it's more important to focus on the economic side of it. It's all a question of money. We, at the moment, facing our own economic issues and our own political instabilities, I don't know if we are in a position to bring anything to the table that would woo people in Saudi Arabia or the UAE, despite our historical relations. That is why they are more inclined towards India. So Pakistan has to also focus internally to see how we can preserve our national interest, how we can preserve the fact that we continue to support Palestine. But in the case there is any kind of a situation, Yemen-like situation, where we have to take a decision between Iran, Saudi Arabia, Israel, where would we stand? We took a very good stance when the Israeli strikes against Iran took place just recently. We condemned it, which was right. But would we be able to do it if Saudi Arabia comes into the picture? So, of course, things are very complicated at the moment. But I think that for us, it is very, very important that we try to make sure that the conflict does not take place. We use all our efforts to make sure that Iran remains away from the conflict as much as possible, because once Iran is sucked into a major conflict, we cannot stay out, because we are bordering. It's a border country. It's not like Yemen. It's not like Saudi Arabia. It is a country which is just next door, and we would have no choice but to be involved. Sorry, I'm just recovering from the flu, so that's why. Finally, I would like to say that both Iran and Saudi Arabia, very close countries for us, very important countries for us, are also rivals in our own country. If you go to Balochistan, you can actually see the rivalry, because they both want to set up, strengthen their foothold there in the sense economically, setting up of refineries, setting up of investments, bringing about investments in Balochistan. The gas pipeline, which is a major issue, it could help Pakistan greatly. But because of our situation with Saudi Arabia and with the United States, we are not able to get the Iranian gas, and the Iranians are very upset about it. And, the arbitration threats and all are given. So I think we have to be very clear in our minds where our priorities lie. I know it is difficult to choose. It's never easy to choose, but it is also very easy in a sense to clarify to our allies, such as Saudi Arabia, our compulsions, our difficulties, and make them understand that relations with Iran are very important for us, not only economically, but strategically. And we can also try to, because with the United States also, I don't know how things with the Trump administration are going to work out, but with the United States, we can also leverage our position and say that, you cannot expect us to just ignore a country like Iran. And finally, I would like to say that China is a country which we have not talked about much today. We have mentioned it. China and India both will play a very major role if any kind of full-scale conflict breaks out in this region. In fact, it'll be very easy for us to perhaps take sides when it comes to India, but I don't know how we will be able to take sides when it comes to China in that way. And just at the end, to put a spanner on everything, I was searching through some websites while I was doing my work here, and I came across a Jewish website. And I don't have the PowerPoint thing, but I just like to say, I'd like to show another map over here. It's not very big, but it shows that now, Saudi Arabia, I have read in some papers, is laying claim even to our holy sites of Mecca and Medina by saying that the Khana Kaaba was actually constructed by Hazrat Ibrahim. So, they have a claim also to that. It may sound far-fetched to many of us right now, but don't forget, it's these religious elements that do bring about conflicts. A religion is a catalyst to conflicts. And the second thing, which was even more interesting, of course, it's a conspiracy theory, but it came from a Jewish website, so that's why it raised my alarm bells, that Mount Sinai, there are claims that it's not actually in Sinai, it is in northwest Saudi Arabia. So you see, these, as I said, these sound far-fetched at the moment, but we have to be clear, we have to realize that religion is always used as a tool to start a conflict, and it can be accelerated by that. And don't forget, as I mentioned, it's something that we must always remember, that while the Arabs do consider Islam very important, and we talk about Muslim Brotherhood, and there's the OIC and all that, but when it comes to Arabness, they are Arabs. And when it comes to non-Arabs, well, we are non-Arabs. That's important. Thank you.